12:31, and this week, Steubenville, Ohio, was a town name that was heard and seen in headlines all around the country. Two teens were found delinquent, the equivalent of convicted for juveniles, for the sexual assault of a 16-year-old after a night of partying. Well, 2020 brings us never-before-seen materials, and tonight's is when we will see those in those interviews. Elizabeth Vargas joins us live this noon with what we'll see. Elizabeth, always good to see you. You know, in this interview, you sit down with one of those teenagers found delinquent. Do we get a whole different perspective of what happened?
You certainly get his version of what happened and get an idea of who he is. I mean, we really delve into who all of these teenagers are and try to bring the victim, 16-year-old Jane Doe, as she's known, as much to life as possible. We also bring to light the entire events of that night. We have never before seen police interviews from all the teenagers who were at that party, the crucial key witnesses from her best friends to the other boys who were at both the houses that night where the sexual assaults took place. And they tell quite a tale of teenage debauchery, to be honest. A lot of heavy drinking, no parents around, no adult supervision. And what's most disturbing, no teenager stepping forward to say, hey, stop, I don't think this is the right thing to do. It's very clear that none of these teenagers were aware that what they were doing was a sexual assault, which raises questions in and of itself. But, you know, all of them knew that this girl had had too much to drink, and they thought it was something that was funny and degrading for her. And all of them, instead of helping her, decided to take pictures of her with their cell phones, which raises another sort of big issue that I think a lot of parents need to address with their kids. If you see something happening and it doesn't feel right, do something. Don't just record it on your cell phone and laugh about it and then upload it onto the internet.
And Elizabeth, what do we've heard obviously a lot about this story being here in Ohio, and that there is a real divide in Steubenville over this case about the impact it's having for that community. Do you offer a perspective of what has happened there locally?
Oh, definitely. This is a town that's been ripped apart. You know, we saw two girls in the aftermath of the verdict who were arrested and charged with making threats against the teenage victim. There have been all sorts of allegations that the town was so concerned with covering up and protecting its Big Red football players. You know, the Steubenville football team there is a huge football team. Big Red is the main event in a town where there's not a lot going on right now. It's had some hard times. So the Big Red football players are a source of enormous pride for this community, and there's nothing that, you know, should take away from what are still great boys playing on that team. But there are serious allegations that perhaps the town was protecting other players. The two players who were charged and convicted are both Big Red football players, but other Big Red football players were there that night, saw what happened, simply recorded it with their cell phones and talked about it on the internet and in text messages and posted things on YouTube instead of getting help or trying to stop what was going down. So there's a lot of divide in the town about, you know, feeling that these players got protection they shouldn't have gotten and didn't deserve, and other people feeling like they're trying to tear the town apart and tear the entire football team apart. And we weigh into all of that. It really is sort of like, as I say in our hour tonight, it's like Friday Night Lights meets The Blind Side, meets The Accused, meets The Social Network. It has a lot of hot button issues all rolled into one in this story.
Elizabeth Vargas, as always, we appreciate it. Always digging into a new perspective of a story we've heard a lot about recently. Again, you can watch 2020 right here on On Air Side at 10 o'clock tonight. Elizabeth, thanks so much.
Thank you.